T.I. just walked into a radio station and committed murder. Not with a gun, with a crown. He grabbed hip-hop's most sacred symbol and placed it on Kendrick Lamar's head, while Drake's entire fan base watched in real time. The internet didn't just react, it detonated. Because what T.I. said on that Atlanta station wasn't an opinion, it was a public execution. And the body? Drake's entire decade-long narrative about being untouchable. This is the story of how one sentence ended a war and started a meltdown that's still happening right now. Drake, the streaming king, the chart demon, the guy who supposedly made Kendrick relevant again during their beef. That was the narrative his fans screamed from every corner of the internet. Kendrick was the bitter revolutionary. Drake was the successful one. The numbers proved it, they said. That was the version everyone repeated. But then T.I. walked into V103 in Atlanta and flipped the entire script with one sentence. He didn't hesitate, didn't stutter, didn't backtrack. He looked into that camera and said Kendrick Lamar is the most successful revolutionary hip-hop artist alive. And just like that, the whole narrative started twisting. Because if the king of the South himself is crowning someone else, what does that say about the king Drake's fans have been defending this whole time? This wasn't a casual compliment. This was a calculated declaration of war on everything Drake's OVO army has built their identity around. T.I. didn't just praise Kendrick, he separated him from every other artist in the game and placed him in a category that Drake has never and will never touch. Revolutionary and successful. Think about what that means. For decades, the industry operated on a cruel, unspoken law. You could be conscious and broke or commercial and rich. You're either Mos Def or you're Drake. You never get to be both. The system was designed that way. If you speak truth, you starve. If you sell vibes, you eat. Then Kendrick Lamar walked in and burned that rule book to ash. Good Kid, Mad City turned personal trauma into a cinematic experience that still shakes stadiums 12 years later. To Pimp a Butterfly got labeled too dense by radio programmers, then casually walked away with a Pulitzer Prize, the first rapper in history to touch that level of artistic validation. Damn sold 600,000 copies first week and turned Humble into a club anthem that secretly mocks the entire industry it dominated. But here's where it gets even crazier. The revolutionary rapper they said could never be mainstream became a tour demon that broke the entire game. The Mr. Morale Tour, highest grossing rap tour of all time at the time. Then he came back with SZA and viciously shattered that record himself. Grand National Tour, $369.6 million, the most brutal flex in rap touring history, higher than Beyoncé and Jay-Z's On the Run 2. One night alone, Kendrick pulled $9.1 million from a single show, the highest grossing rap concert in US history. This isn't success. This is domination by strangulation. And the numbers kept stacking like body bags. 22 Grammys, 9 more nominations loading for 2026. He needs 4 more to eclipse Jay-Z and become the most Grammy-awarded rapper of all time. GNX didn't drop, it invaded. All 12 tracks smashed into the Hot 100. Kendrick hijacked the entire top 5. 22 weeks at #1, the longest-running #1 rap album in Billboard history. First rap album in 2025 to cross 2 million sales in a climate where albums are supposedly dead. Not Like Us didn't just perform well, it hunted down Drake's stats and killed them. Broke Drake's Spotify single-day rap streaming record. Streams exploded 430% after the Super Bowl. During the beef, Kendrick's back catalog surged 49% to over 50.6 million daily streams. By early 2025, only 700,000 streams separated Drake and Kendrick from most streamed rapper of the year, with Kendrick in the lead. Kendrick's monthly listeners leapfrogged Drake's after the Super Bowl. Then Forbes dropped the financial kill shot. Kendrick, $109 million, highest earning rapper of 2025. Drake, $78 million, 7th place. The man who was allegedly jealous of successful men is now out-earning the one they used as a weapon against him by $31 million. This isn't a win. This is a hostile takeover. T.I. didn't randomly throw Kendrick's name into the air. He made a surgical comparison that cut the entire genre open and exposed its contradictions. On one side, KRS-One, Common, Mos Def, Talib Kweli, The Roots, lifelong revolutionaries, respected, legendary, but locked out of the big commercial bags. They spoke truth and paid the price in album sales and mainstream acceptance. On the other side, Drake, Future, Migos, club legends, chart bullies, low on revolutionary substance but high on commercial dominance. And then there's Kendrick, the glitch in the matrix. He makes songs about black trauma, systemic violence, survivor's guilt, mental breakdowns, and still turns them into club anthems like Humble and Swimming Pools. He creates protest records like All Right that become movement soundtracks and chart on Billboard at the same time. One commenter summed it up in a way that should terrify every turn-up-only rapper. You know how hard it is to sell black trauma? Kendrick didn't avoid the pain, he weaponized it, and then sold out stadiums with it. That's the revolution T.I. is talking about. Because for 30 years, the industry told artists they had to choose: substance or success, message or money, impact or income. Kendrick looked at that false choice and chose violence. He proved the entire industry has been lying. Think about it. Drake built his empire on being relatable, on vibes, on playlist dominance, on making music that fits seamlessly into any mood, any moment, any algorithm. His strategy was brilliant. Flood the market, stay visible, never let the culture forget your name. But Kendrick, he does the opposite. He vanishes for years, leaves the game starving, lets everyone else sound the same, then returns and rewrites history each time. His albums don't release, they shift the culture. His features don't help songs, they steal them. His silence is an absence, it's psychological warfare. The longer he disappears, the bigger the explosion when he comes back. And every time he returns, he doesn't just drop music, he drops events. Good Kid, M.A.A.D. City, a cinematic trauma diary. To Pimp a Butterfly, a jazz-infused meditation on blackness and fame. Damn, a duality study wrapped in bangers. Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, a therapy session disguised as an album. GNX, a West Coast reclamation project that hijacked the charts. Fans aren't arguing which one is good, they're arguing which one is the best classic. Meanwhile, Drake's discography is debated differently. Which albums were great? Which were mid? Which were carried by features? That's the difference T.I. is highlighting. One artist built a catalog of eras. The other built a catalog of moments. And when you stack those two legacies side by side, the gap becomes undeniable. Kendrick didn't balance conscious and commercial rap. He obliterated the idea that you ever had to choose. But here's the part that really hits different. The second T.I. crowned Kendrick, YouTube and Twitter didn't react. They detonated. Drake's OVO army swarmed the comments like a digital riot, and what they said exposed something deeper than fandom. What is Kendrick revolutionized? He not revolutionary, he not spiritual, he's just someone who's evil and lyrical. Kendrick only big now because of Drake beef. Industry darling, that's all. They didn't argue stats, they ignored them. Kendrick's tour numbers? Silenced. Kendrick's Grammys? Dismissed. Pulitzer? Erased. Historical records? Reduced to industry push. EQ, the YouTuber breaking all this down, called it exactly what it is. These Drake fans crashing out over T.I.'s opinion are exposing their own insecurities about their favorite artist. Because if Kendrick outstreams Drake per song, if he out-earns him in real money, if he outsells him in tours, if he outranks him in awards, if he out-respects him in culture, then the narrative that Kendrick hates successful men turns into something far darker. Drake fans are watching the man they call jealous become the more successful man, and they can't handle it. That's not hate, that's grief. They're mourning the death of a narrative they built their entire identity around. For years, they used Drake's success as a shield. Anytime someone criticized his music, his lyrics, his artistic depth, they'd point to the numbers, the streams, the plaques, the chart dominance. He's the biggest rapper alive. Your favorite could never. But now, Kendrick has the numbers and the artistry, the tours and the Pulitzer, the streams and the respect, the money and the message. And that breaks the only defense they had left. Because if success was the measuring stick, Kendrick just became the ruler. Let's dive even deeper into the numbers, because this is where the story gets absolutely insane. Kendrick's dominance isn't just about one album or one tour. It's about a 15-year pattern of systematically dismantling every argument against him. They said conscious rap doesn't sell. Section 80 moved 5,000 copies first week independently. Then Good Kid, Mad City debuted at number 2 with 242,000 copies and has since gone quintuple platinum. They said experimental rap alienates audiences. To Pimp a Butterfly debuted at number 1 with 324,000 copies. It's now triple platinum and considered one of the greatest albums ever made across all genres. They said political rap doesn't chart. Damn sold 603,000 first week, spent 4 weeks at number 1, won the Pulitzer Prize for music, and has been certified quintuple platinum. They said rap tours can't compete with pop stars. Kendrick's Grand National Tour with SZA grossed $369.6 million. That's higher than tours by Beyonce, Jay-Z, and every other rapper in history. They said the Drake beef would expose him. Instead, Not Like Us became the most streamed diss track ever. It broke Drake's own streaming records. It turned Kendrick into a cultural phenomenon that transcended hip-hop. Every single time the industry set a ceiling, Kendrick crashed through it. And he did it without compromising. No pop features to chase radio play, no watered-down messages to appeal to broader audiences, no flooding the market with filler projects to stay visible. He did it by being unapologetically himself, by making music that challenges listeners instead of comforting them, by disappearing when everyone else is screaming for attention, by turning every album into an event that demands your full focus. That's the revolution. Not just the content of his music, but the way he moves through the industry. He rejected the playbook and still won. Now here's where things get even more interesting. There are theories floating around the internet that paint an even darker picture of what Kendrick has been doing behind the scenes. The strategic silence conspiracy. Fans are convinced Kendrick's long disappearances aren't random. They're calculated starvation tactics. He lets the game rot in trends, waits for everyone to sound the same, then shows up with a new sonic language and makes the entire industry sound outdated overnight. Think about it. Between albums, the rap game becomes predictable. Everyone chases the same sound, the same flows, the same topics. The market gets saturated with sameness. Then Kendrick drops and everything else sounds like background noise. The labels lost control theory. Early rumors claimed certain executives pushed for more commercial, pop-leaning Kendrick records. They wanted him to soften his sound, add more hooks, make it more accessible. He refused. Multiple insiders allege he left money in positioning on the table to protect his artistic vision. Instead of bending to the industry, he forced the industry to bend toward him. And now, labels study his rollouts. They try to replicate his strategy. They want their artists to have a Kendrick moment. But you can't manufacture authenticity. The scared to collab allegations. Whisper campaigns from fans say some A-list rappers avoid Kendrick features. Not because of scheduling conflicts, because they've watched what happens when he appears on a track. He doesn't guest, he evicts the original artist from their own song. Control, no more parties in LA, and really though, every feature becomes a Kendrick showcase. Some artists reportedly don't want that smoke. The secret albums mythos. Hardcore fans swear there are unreleased experimental Kendrick albums locked away, projects allegedly too wild or too ahead of their time to drop yet. Rumored to be genre-obliterating, mixing jazz, drill, gospel, and experimental electronic. No proof, but the idea that Kendrick has hard drives full of unreleased revolutions terrifies his competition. Because if what he's already released is this dominant, what's he holding back? What we're seeing here is bigger than just Kendrick versus Drake. This is about the collapse of a 30-year lie. The industry has always told artists they need to compromise to succeed. Dumb it down, make it catchy. Don't challenge your audience too much, stay in your lane. And for decades, artists believed it. But Kendrick proved it was a scam. He showed that audiences are smarter than the industry gives them credit for, that people want substance, that they'll show up for art that challenges them. And now, the entire game has to recalibrate. Because if Kendrick can make revolutionary music and become the highest paid rapper alive, what excuse do other artists have? The bigger conversation is about artistic responsibility. When you have a platform that reaches millions, what do you do with it? Do you use it to numb people, to help them escape, or do you use it to wake them up, to make them think, to challenge systems? Drake chose escapism, and there's nothing wrong with that. People need music that makes them feel good, that helps them vibe, that soundtracks their nights out. But Kendrick chose confrontation. He makes music that forces you to sit with uncomfortable truths about yourself, about your community, about the systems you exist in. And somehow he made that commercially viable. That's the revolution T.I. is talking about. Not just the content, but the proof that it can work. T.I. doesn't rant, he mutates, shaves his head, removes the visible crown, announces his final album, Kill the King, coming in 2026. But here's the twist. The king he's killing is himself. He admits the King of the South title caused beefs, infractions, friction his entire career. The persona that made him legendary also turned him into a magnet for chaos. Now, he's working with Pharrell on Let 'Em Know and multiple tracks, channeling the energy of I'm Serious and King one last time, dropping a final PSC Gangsta Grillz project to clear the vault. Inspired by Andre 3000's monk-like detachment, trying to walk away with a clean conscience before the industry eats what's left of his soul. And in the middle of that transformation, this same man publicly anoints Kendrick as the most successful revolutionary in rap. The symbolism is brutal. One king is killing his own crown. Another king is killing an entire era's idea of success. T.I. sees what's happening. He sees Kendrick rewriting the rules, and instead of fighting it, he's blessing it. Because maybe he knows something the OVO fans don't. Maybe he knows that holding on to outdated definitions of success, of kingship, of dominance, only leads to self-destruction. Maybe he knows that the real revolution isn't just in the music, it's in knowing when to let go. T.I. crowned Kendrick. Drake fans melted down. The receipts are undeniable. The tours, the Grammys, the money, the respect, the cultural impact. Kendrick didn't just win a beef, he rewrote what winning means. And the question now isn't whether Kendrick is revolutionary. The question is, how many more records does he have to break before the last Drake stan stops screaming and starts accepting reality? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think T.I. was right to call Kendrick the most successful revolutionary? And do you think Drake's legacy is actually in danger? Or are his fans overreacting? Make sure you like this video, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story is far from over. More developments are dropping, more clues are surfacing, and we're covering every single twist. I appreciate you for rocking with me. Stay safe out there. And remember, in this game, the crown doesn't go to the loudest. It goes to the one who changes the rules.